Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Eternally Destined. Pastor Tana. His name is Lawrence Tana.avi. Pastor Tana is what they call him. He's in the South Pacific in the Solomon Islands. And he's got this bright yellow Volkswagen. So he's driving along in his Volkswagen and his cell phone rings. And he looks at it and it says a restricted number. Now when he answers it, he says, "Hello, this is Pastor Tana." The voice on the other end says, "Please hold one moment, the Premier of Australia." Now, the Premier is like our President of the United States. And so the Premier gets on the phone and says, "Pastor Tana.avi." And he says, "Yes, sir." And he says, "I understand that you're a pastor, and as you know, on the Solomon Islands there's a war going on between the government troops and the rebels. And there's a line that has been divided. I know that you have members on both sides of that line, correct?" "Yes, sir." "Now I think you are the man that would be able to get a message across to the guerrilla leader. So I have a chopper flying to your house that will land in about 5 minutes, and they will deliver to you a encrypted cell phone. I want you to take that encrypted cell phone and give it to the guerrilla leader because we need to talk." Now, Pastor Tana, he says, "Okay, I can do that." He turns around and he goes home. The chopper is waiting for him when he gets home. They give him the cell phone and he takes off to the command post. Now, at the command post, he goes in to speak to the commander, but he's been told by the Premier that he cannot reveal his mission. So he goes to the command post and he talks to the commander and says, "I need to go across to the guerrilla side. I've got members on the other side," or he fabricates whatever the story. And the commander says, "Absolutely not. You are not going across." So Pastor Tana goes back into his car and he goes into the woods and he kneels down and prays and he says, "God, I know you've got something for me to do here, but I'm meeting with resistance. You need to work it out to let the commander let me pass." He gets back in his car, goes to the commander a second time, and he says, "I need to go to the guerrilla side." The commander says, "You don't listen very well, do you? I already told you no." They had a long conversation and he still refused. Well, he goes back and he prays again, and he ends up talking to the commander, and the commander is furious because he's so persistent. He is furious. And the commander tells him, he says, "All right, Adventist," he says, "I'm going to let you go. In fact, I'm going to personally open the gates for you. And as soon as you're no more than 20 meters on the guerrilla side, we are going to open fire on you. Rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, machine guns, and we will kill you." He says, "You'll be dead, Adventist." And Pastor Tana gets in his car and he drives up to the gate. The commander opens it for him. The bars open. He goes through, the bars close, and he's driving out about 20 meters into the guerrilla territory. The underground bunkers in the command center, there's a bunch of guys there, and they have monitors, screens, and they're giving the order, "Open fire." And so they launch the RPGs and the rocket-propelled grenades, and the machine gun with the tracer bullets come, and it all comes in contact with Tana.avi's car. And Tana.avi's car explodes. Big ball of fire, and metal goes everywhere, and they kill the pastor. End of story. For them. Now for Pastor Tana.avi, as he's driving, he gets to the 20 meters in the guerrilla territory and nothing happens. It's completely quiet, silent, nothing. He drives in, he goes to the guerrilla commander, and he explains the situation, hands him the phone that's encrypted. The guerrilla commander calls the Premier of Australia and they have a chat. While they're having a chat, Pastor Tana.avi knows that on the guerrilla side there is plenty of vegetables, produce. So he goes to town and he buys 4 bags, stuffs them into his car of produce as he's going to take it back across the line. He gets he gets back to the guerrilla commander and says, "Hey, I need to go back across the line." Now the guerrilla commander said that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, but Pastor Tana ends up driving up. He goes up to the gates at the command post now to try and get back across to the other side, to the government side, and it's silent. Nothing happens. The gateposts raise, he drives in, the gatepost closes, he goes to the other side, he stops, parks his car, he gets out, and he goes into the underground bunkers where the men were that were watching the monitors shoot him. And he goes down with 2 bags of produce, and he says, you know, I know that produce is scarce on this side, and so while I was on the grill side, I brought 4 bags back for you. Here's 2 bags, I've got the other 2 in the trunk, and I'll go get them. These guys were ashen white. They know they saw a ghost because they're the ones that watched his car explode. They killed him. And so Pastor Tana, he goes into the car, and he gets the other 2 bags. And then he brings them down, and he says, okay, here's the other 2 bags. Any questions? And one of them says, we killed you. We shot the RPGs, the rocket-propelled grenades, the machine guns. We saw your car explode, and metal go everywhere. You are dead. And someone asks, they say, who are you? And this is what Pastor Tana said. He says, I'm God's boy. And I will be in the Seventh-day Adventist Church on Saturday. And if you'd like to join me, you're welcome to. Well, the next Saturday, the next Sabbath, there were 4 members there that killed him. And if you go to the Solomon Islands now in the South Pacific, there are elders in the church that have killed their pastor. It's amazing to be in the will of God. Nothing could touch you, because if you are with God, who can be against you? The scripture says, I have nothing to fear. My name is Daniel Rowe, and I just want to encourage you along your journey because you are eternally destined.